One bubble we write about the book is the Wankel motor, or the rotary motor, which you might find today in a Mazda. Those little Mazda spiders, they have rotary motors. You don't see many of those around anymore, do you?
No, they've I think pretty well left the marketplace. But for a while in the 70s, there was the promise of this Wankel motor.
Because the internal combustion motor is a stupid technology.
Yeah, it goes bing, 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 bing,
it's
bing,
like you have an explosion, and you take the cylinder, and you move it as fast as you can, 5 centimeters. And then you stop it, and then you move
another
it
explosion.
With another explosion, and then you move it the other way. And lo and behold, that's a pretty inefficient technology. I think the best internal combustion motors are 25% efficient, because so much,
30,
maybe 30, so much is lost to heat. So wouldn't it make sense is to have some sort of thing that goes like in a merry-go-round? So think of a merry-go-round, and we'll just use those explosions to spin a disc, if you will. And that was the idea behind a rotary motor or a Wankel motor. And everybody thought, well, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
It's a great story.
It is a great story, because now you can have much more efficient motors. They're much smaller. Maybe you don't need to put the motor in the front of the car. Right? You could put it under the car, and you could start changing the design of the automobile. Really cool. But it turns out that, and so there was a bubble in actually Curtiss-Wright, which had which built a portfolio of patents around this technology, and they were licensed to GM and some onboard motor companies for boats and whatnot.
Mazda.
And Mazda. Well, Curtiss-Wright was not licensed to Mazda because that was in Japan. Mazda's a Japanese firm.
That's true.
Yeah, I think he knew that. Anyway, so but it turns out it didn't work. It just ran into technological problems. It's very difficult when you scale that technology to get the cylinders to seal properly, and this created. It never fulfilled its promise for cars, except in very limited circumstances, and Mazda did try to make a big bet on that. I drive a Mazda.
But I'll bet it is not a Wankel motor.
It is not a rotary motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mazda survived.
But there was a huge bubble in Curtiss-Wright stock. So
Yeah.
Curtiss-Wright stock was sort of going along with the rest of the market. All of a sudden, the narrative of the Wankel motor gets out into the press, and the stock really spikes up, and there's press announcements, and General Motors licenses it, and there's all this hype around the prospects of the motor, and then as these technological liabilities sort of leak out.
Should I make a popping song?
Yeah, all of a sudden, the stock in Curtiss-Wright tanks. So that narrative that was very exciting and alluring turned out to be unfulfilled.